Shabbat Shalom, everyone. As we're coming in, if we can find our seats, we'll begin our service momentarily. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. We begin in Sidur Mishkan Tfilah on page number 128. Near the top of the page, not at the very top of the page, but near the top of the page as we say, what a beautiful day it is today, this Shabbat of peace. Ma yafeh hayom Shabbat Shalom. Ma yafeh hayom Shabbat Shalom, Ma yafeh hayom, Shabbat Shalom, Ma yafeh hayom, Shabbat Shalom, Ma yafeh hayom, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. Right underneath that, the words of Yidid Nefesh. The words come from a poem in the Middle Ages. It's a love poem of Shabbat. It's actually much longer than four lines, but this little section of the poem was put to music, and so we sing just this section here. Yidid nefesh av harachaman, Yidid nefesh av harachaman, mishohavtecha eretzonecha, mishohavtecha La 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 el ritzonecha Yarutz avdecha kemo ayal ishtachavei la 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 el mul hadarecha Av harachaman, Yidid nefesh, Av harachaman, אל רצונך משוכבתך לה 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 אל רצונך ירוץ עבדך כמו היה ישתחווה אלי לה 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 אל הדרך. If you'll turn back just a little bit in your Siddur to page 120, we come to the blessing for lighting our Shabbat candles. And to light our Shabbat candles, there's someone in the room, I believe your name is Zeb. Zeb, I'm going to let you invite any relatives of yours that you want to come up and light our candles. I think your grandmother might come, maybe your mom too. You can help them if you want. As a matter of fact, I think you should light the candles yourself. Yeah. We are blessed this evening that in just a little while in our service, we're going to be giving Zeb his Hebrew name this evening. And so in honor of why am I talking to you? I'm going to talk to him. Zeb, in honor of your Hebrew name tonight, we're going to have your family come up and light the candles. Now, the deal is they'll light the candles and you do the blessing. Or we can reverse it. You light the candles and they will do the blessing, or we'll figure out some other way to make it work. So which one do you want to do, Zeb? It's up to you. I'm just going to wait till you give me an answer. Sleeping. I think that's an excellent answer. I like it. If you want to go ahead and grab any one of you. We'll light and then we'll. 1, 2, 3. Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Praised are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who makes us holy with your commandments and commands us to kindle the candles of this Shabbat. Thank you, and we'll see you all again really soon. All right. Take Doggy with you. We don't want him to get lost. There we go. We make our way through our Kabbalat Shabbat service as we turn to page 130. So we come to Psalm 95, as we make our way through the Psalms that lead us in the direction of Shabbat. All Psalms of praises of God to bring us into the mood and the spirit of Shabbat, page 130, Psalm 95. Lechu neranina, lechu neranina, lechu neranina haladonai. Lechu neranina, lechu neranina, lechu neranina haladonai. Naria, naria, litzur yishenu, nikadma fana bitoda. Naria, naria, litzur yishenu, bismirot nerialo. Lechu neranina, lechu neranina, lechu neranina ladonai. Lechu neranina, lechu neranina, lechu neranina ladonai. We continue on page 131. For those of you who are not Hebrew experts, and for those of you who have not been here before and used this Siddur, this prayer book, maybe just a little short lesson here. On each page, you'll see the Hebrew on the right-hand side of the page. On the left-hand side of the page, you'll see the Hebrew written in English characters, And at the bottom of the page, or sometimes on the next page, you will see the English translation of whatever prayer we happen to be saying. And so that way you'll be able to follow along. Once we get out of these introductory prayers and we come into the main part of the service, the right page will be the page that has the prayer on it. The left-hand side will have poetry and other poetic renditions of the theme on the prayer. We get that after we come through the Psalms here. We continue, now that we all know where we are, I hope. Page 131. In the middle of the Psalm, you'll see there's a break right near the bottom. Yismichu hashamayim, the heavens will be glad and happy. V'tagel haaretz, and the earth will rejoice. Yiram hayam, and so will the sea. Umelo'o, and all that fills all of them, all that fill the land, the sea, and the sky will sing praises to God. Yismichu hashamayim. Yismichu hashamayim. Yismichu hashamayim. Yismichu hashamayim. V'tagel haaretz. Yismichu hashamayim. Yismichu hashamayim. Yismichu hashamayim. V'tagel haaretz. Yiram hayam. Yiram hayam. Yiram hayam. Umelo'o. Yiram hayam. Yiram hayam. Yiram hayam. Umelo'o. Yismichu hashamayim. Yismichu hashamayim. Yismichu hashamayim. V'tagel haaretz. We read together at the top of page 133. Adonai is sovereign, let the earth exult, the many islands rejoice. Dense clouds are around God, righteousness and justice are the base of God's throne. O you who love Adonai, hate evil, guard against the lives of God's loved ones, saving them from the hand of the wicked. Light is sown for the righteous, radiance for the upright. O you righteous, rejoice in Adonai and acclaim God's holy name. Near the end of those English words are the lines, light is sown for the righteous, radiance for the upright. If you look back on page 132, count 4 lines from the bottom of the page, and then count 3 lines from the bottom of the page, and then you'll have the 2 lines that we're going to sing in Hebrew right now. You can skip the bottom 2 lines because we're not going to sing those in Hebrew right now. We're just going to sing those 2 lines that tell us what our reward is if we bring righteousness and we are upright people. Our reward is that we will have light and radiance, and then hopefully we share that light and that radiance with all of those around us. Or zarua lat sadik u'yishrei lev simcha. Or zarua lat sadik u'yishrei lev simcha. Or zarua lat sadik u'yishrei lev simcha. U'yishrei lev simcha. Or zarua lat sadik u'yishrei lev simcha. U'yishrei lev simcha. Now the hard words. Lai 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 lai. Or zarua lat sadik u'yishrei lev simcha. Or zarua lat sadik u'yishrei lev simcha. You'll read together with me in English at the bottom of 133 from Psalm 98. A psalm. Sing to Adonai a new song, for God has worked wonders. God's right hand, God's holy arm has won God victory. Adonai has manifested God's victory, has displayed God's triumph in the sight of the nations. God was mindful of God's steadfast love and faithfulness toward the house of Israel. All the ends of the earth beheld the victory of our God. Raise a shout to Adonai, all the earth. Break into joyous songs of praise. And we sing one of those joyous songs of praise, page 135 from Psalm 99. Psalm 99 speaks of God seated on a throne, the holy throne in the heavens, watching over God's people, watching over all of God's creation. And we meet God at the holy mountain, Mount Sinai, as we say, Romemu Adonai Eloheinu. We exalt Adonai our God, V'hishtachavu lahar kodsho, and we bow down at God's holy mountain, Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu, because Adonai our God is holy. And the lesson we learn is that we should then strive to be holy as well. The last three lines of the Hebrew on page 135. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu vehishtachavu lehar kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu vehishtachavu lehar kodsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu vehishtachavu lehar kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu vehishtachavu lehar kodsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. As we turn to page 136 and 137, we come to Psalm 29, another psalm that sings of God's praises, this of God's power in the universe, both power in grand ways and in small ways as well. We read first in English Psalm 29, and then we'll sing together the last two lines. A psalm of David. Ascribe to Adonai, O divine beings. Ascribe to Adonai glory and strength. Ascribe to Adonai the glory of God's name. Bow down to Adonai, majestic in holiness. The voice of Adonai is over the waters. The God of glory thunders over the mighty waters. Adonai over the mighty waters. The voice of Adonai is power. The voice of Adonai is majesty. The voice of Adonai breaks cedars. Adonai shatters the cedars of Lebanon. God makes Lebanon skip like a calf, Sirion like a young wild ox. The voice of Adonai kindles flames of fire. The voice of Adonai convulses the wilderness. Adonai convulses the wilderness of Kadesh. The voice of Adonai causes hinds to calf and strips forests bare. While in God's temple all say glory. Adonai sat enthroned at the flood. Adonai sits enthroned sovereign forever. May Adonai grant strength to God's people. May Adonai bestow on God's people well-being. Those last two lines in Hebrew. Adonai oz le'amo yitain. Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom. The last two Hebrew lines on page 137. Lai, 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 lai. Adonai oz le'amo yitain, yitain. Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom. Adonai oz le'amo yitain, yitain. Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom. Lai, 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 lai. Lai, 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 lai. Lai, 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 lai. Lai, 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 lai. Lai, lai, lai. Lai, 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 lai. turn to page 138 and 139 as we come to Lecha Dodi. Come, my friend, let us greet the bride. In the Kabbalistic world, hundreds of years ago, the rabbis talked about Shabbat being the bride and the Jewish people being the groom, and the entrance of Shabbat is the beginning of the wedding. And so we think of the joy of a wedding and the joy that comes a little bit later from the joy of a wedding. Yes, I'm talking about you, Zev. I have to talk about you a little bit tonight. We got to give you a couple more props just than your naming, so we got to talk about you. So sometimes the beautiful results of that wedding become a beautiful little Zev over there. And we welcome Shabbat with that same great joy. So we join together joyfully in Lecha Dodi, page 138 and 139. We'll sing verses 1, 2, 5, and 9. Somebody asked me yesterday, why do we only sing verses 1, 2, 5, and 9? So quick explanation for those of you who are wondering. If you're not, raise your hand if you're not wondering. No, I'm just kidding. Don't raise your hand. I don't want to know if you're not wondering. I'm going to pretend all of you can't wait to acquire this bit of knowledge. There are 9 verses in Lecha Dodi, written about 500 years ago. Exactly. You want to finish for me? I'll let you. It was written in a time that was a messianic time in Judaism. The Jews of the time were looking for the Messiah to come. Not the thing that's that weird church that's up the road up there, not that thing over there, but these were Jews who thought the Messiah would be coming any day now. And so they would write poetry about it, and this poem was written about it. And of the 9 verses, verses 3, 4, 6, 7, and 8 all have references to biblical books and Talmudic statements about the coming of the Messiah. When the Reform movement started including Lecha Dodi back in the prayer book, they only printed verses 1 and 2, and then 9. Actually, at first they did just 1 and 9. Then they added 1, 2, and 9. Then they added 1, 2, 5, and 9, and then they started printing all of them. But the tradition among the Reform movement, still in most Reform synagogues today, is to only sing the 4 verses that do not talk about the idea of messianism or the Messiah coming. And so that's why we sing verses 1, 2, 5, and 9. The other reason is because some people tell me if we sing all 9 verses, it just takes too long. I like the first reason better, but there you go. Lecha Dodi likat kala yalalai 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 li Shabbat nikabela. Lecha Dodi likat kala yalalai 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 li Shabbat nikabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad hishmi'anu el hamiuchad Adonai echad Shemo echad L'shem u'tiferet ve'letchila Lecha Dodi likrat kala yalalai 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 li Shabbat nikabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala yalalai 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 li Shabbat nikabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha ki hi mekor habracha merosh mikedem nesucha sof ma'aseh v'machshevat tehila. Lecha Dodi likrat kala yalalai 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 li Shabbat nikabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala yalalai 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 li Shabbat nikabela. Verse number 5. Hitoreri, hitoreri, kiva orech kumi ori, uri, uri, shir daberi kevod Adonai alayich nigla. Lecha Dodi likrat kala yalalai 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 li Shabbat nikabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala yalalai 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 li Shabbat nikabela. We rise, we face the door as we greet the Shabbat bride. Boi v'shalom atet bala gam b'simcha uvtzola מתוך אמוני עם סגולה, בואי חלה, בואי חלה, לך דודי לקראת קלה, יללי, 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 לשבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת קלה, יללי, 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 לשבת נקבלה. Since we greeted Shabbat and we're still standing, most of us are still standing. Turn to the people in front of you, besides you, around you, and wish everyone Shabbat Shalom as we welcomed in Shabbat. And when you're done greeting, then you can have a seat. And for those of you who are joining us on TempleShalom.com and on YouTube, our YouTube page, Shabbat Shalom to all of you as well. We are happy to have all of you with us. On page 92, actually on page 140, we come to Psalm 92. We'll do that again. Page 140, we come to Psalm 92, the Psalm of Shabbat that the Levites sang in the ancient temple. Mizmor Shir L'Yom HaShabbat, let us sing a song of Shabbat. It is good to sing praises to God in the morning and to tell of God's trustworthiness at night. At the bottom of the psalm, we speak of being in the courtyards of God's house. It's a beautiful place to be, especially if you think about in the summertime. What a wonderful place to spend some time out in the courtyard, admiring the beauty of creation and pondering that creation. And that's what this psalm does, pondering the rest that we take after this creation. The righteous bloom like a date palm, the psalm tells us. They thrive like a cedar in Lebanon, planted in the house of Adonai. They flourish in the courtyards of our God. In old age, they still produce fruit. They are full of sap and freshness, attesting that Adonai is upright, my rock, in whom there is no wrong. These are the words that we sing. It's the indented paragraph of the Hebrew on page 140. Tzadikatama yifrach ke'erez bavanon yiskeh shitu Beveit Adonai bechatzrot Eloheinu yafrichu od yenuvu b'seiva dishenim vera'ananim yiyu lehagi Yashar Adonai Tzuri Velo Avlata Bo. We continue as we turn to page 144. As we make our way out of our Kabbalat Shabbat and into our Ma'ariv service. Yitkadav Yitkadash Shemei Rabbah Be'alma divrach Yerutev Yamlich Malchutei B'chayechon Uv'yomechon Uv'chayev Dechol Beit Yisrael Ba'agala Uv'izman Kariv V'yimeru Amen Yehi Shmei Rabbah Mevorach Le'olam Olam Me'amaya Yitbarach v'ishtabach v'pa'ar v'droman v'naseh v'tadar v'taleh v'talal shemi d'kudesha barichu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata damiron be'alma v'yimeru. Amen. We rise as we turn to page 145, or 146. 146 as we join together in Baruch Hu, our call to worship prayer. Lai the lai 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 lai. Lai the lai 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 lai. Lai the lai 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 lai. Lai the lai 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 lai. Lai the lai 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 lai. Lai the lai 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 lai. Lai the lai 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 lai. Lai the lai 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 lai. Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamevorach. Baruch Adonai Hamevorach. Hamevorach Eolam Va'ed. Hamevorach, Hamevorach, Eolam Va'ed. We can all be seated. On page 148, we give thanks with words that speak of creation. We read together, "Blessed are you, Adonai our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opens the gates, thoughtfully alters the time and changes the seasons, and arranges the stars in their heavenly courses according to plan. You are creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tzvaot is your name. Ever-living God, may you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on evening. El Chai V'Kayam, Tamid Yimloch Aleinu, Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai, Hama'ariv Aravim. Lai, 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 lai. Lai, 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 lai. On page 150, we give thanks for the gift of Torah. We say with an eternal love, you love your people Israel, giving us your Torah with its commandments, with its statutes, with its pathways for life. May we learn them so that we can make them the length of our days and make them the centerpiece of our life. Praised are you, O God, who loves your people Israel. We sing together the words of Ahavat Olam, page 150. Ahavat Olam, Beit Yisrael, Amcha Ahavta, Amcha Ahavta. Torah u'mitzvot, Chukim u'mishpatim, Otanu limadita, Otanu limadita. Al kein Adonai Eloheinu b'shokfeinu v'kumenu nasiach b'chukecha v'nismach b'divrei Toratecha u'v'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed ki heim chayenu ve'orech yameinu Uvahem nehege yomam velayla, nehege yomam velayla. ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל, אוהב עמו ישראל. We turn to page 152 and 153 as we join together in Shema. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. 154. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol me'odecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'veitecha uvlechtecha v'derech uv'shochbecha uv'kumecha ukshartam le'ot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot beinenecha uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvihisharecha leman tiskeru vasitem et kol mitzvotai v'item kedoshim le'elohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim v'hiot lachem le'elohim ani Adonai Elohechem Adonai Elohechem emet. We read together a loose translation, but a thematic rendition of the words we just chanted on page 155. Love your God with every heartbeat, with every breath, with every conscious act. Keep in mind the words I command you today. Teach them to your children. Talk about them at work. When you're tired or you are rested, let them guide the work of your hands. Keep them in the forefront of your vision. Do not leave them at the doorway of your house or outside your gate. They are reminders to do all of my mitzvot, so that you can be holy for God. I am Adonai your God. I led you out of Egypt to become your God. I am Adonai your God. As we come to the Geulah on the next page, 156 and 157, we think about that idea of God redeeming us from Egypt as we read the words responsively at the bottom of 157, words of redemption from our ancient slavery and from slaveries that plague us in our modern time as well. In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say, Adonai, there is one God in heaven and earth. Mm-hmm. From bondage in Egypt, we were delivered. At Sinai, we bound ourselves to your way. Though our failings are many and our faults are great, it has been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in dark ages your vision of a world redeemed. And as our ancestors sang these joyous words on page 158, we sing them as well. Who is like you, O God, among all of the gods and deities that the world worships? Who is like you, majestic in holiness, awesome in splendor, working wonders that only our God could do, bringing us from slavery to freedom? Yai lai lai la lai 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 lai. Yai lai lai la lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Lai 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 ya lai 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 lai. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai. Mi kamocha nehedar b'kodesh. Torah tehilot osei feleh. Torah tehilot osei feleh. מלכותך ראו בניך, בוקי הים לפני משה ומרים, זה אלי ענו ואמרו, זה אלי ענו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. Yai lai lai la lai 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 lai. Yai lai lai la lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 yai lai 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 lai. ונאמר כי פרענה את יעקב וגואלו מיד חזק ממנו. ברוך אתה אדוני גואל ישראל. Praised are you, O God, the Redeemer of Israel. Page 160. Among the many classical composers of the last few hundred years, many of them have written lullabies. And it's been said that it was classical music that invented the lullaby, but actually it was Amram Gaon, a rabbi in the 8th century, who wrote Hashkivenu, this prayer. And it's our Jewish lullaby. It says, God, lie us down in peace and cause us to rise up tomorrow again to life and spread a shelter of peace over us. Give us good counsel and protect us from enemy and illness and war, from famine and sorrow and wrongdoing. Watch our going and our coming, for now and for always. Praised are you, God, who spreads your shelter of peace over us, over all your people Israel, and over Jerusalem. Hashkivenu at the top of page 160. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, l'shalom, ve'ha'amidenu shomrenu l'chaim. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha, ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. Amen. We can all sing those words. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, l'shalom, v'ha'amidenu, v'ha'amidenu shomrenu l'chaim. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha, ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha, ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. Amen. Shelter us beneath your wings, O Adonai. Guard us from all harmful things, O Adonai. Keep us safe throughout the night, till we wake with morning's light. Teach us, God, wrong from right. Amen. You can sing Amen with me. Amen. Amen, 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 amen. Zev, don't think I didn't hear you singing Amen. I heard you all the way over here. I heard him. Yeah. He had the first line of the Hebrew, still needs a little work on the second line, but the first line of Hebrew was perfect. It was great. Page 162. The people of Israel shall keep Shabbat. Observing Shabbat through the ages is a covenant for all time. It is a sign for all time between me and the people of Israel. For in 6 days God made the heaven and the earth. And on the seventh day God ceased from all the work and refreshed as we refresh our souls on this Shabbat. V'shameru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat lidorotam berit olam b'ni uvein b'nei Yisrael oti le'olam ki sheshet yamin asa Adonai et hashamayim ve'et haaretz u'v'yom hashvi'i Shabbat Shabbat vayinafash Shabbat Shabbat vayinafash Shabbat Shabbat vayinafash Oh Shabbat Shabbat vayinafash. Page 164, we rise as we come to our Amidah. We'll sing the first few paragraphs together and then take time for our own silent prayer. We begin our silent prayer. It ends on page 180, 181. So when we become silent, you can pray your own silent prayers, the prayers in the book or the prayers that you find in your own heart and your own soul. And when you're finished, please be seated. In the meantime, we join together in the beginning of our Amidah. Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi yagita hilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. 166. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei avotenu v'imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor V'hanora El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim V'konei Hakol V'zocher Chaste Avot V'imahot Umevi Geula Livnei V'nehem L'ma'an Shemo Be'ahava Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magen Baruch Atah Adonai Magen Avraham Ve'ezrat Sarah Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai Mechaye HaKol Atah Rav Lehoshia Morid Hatal Mechalkel Chayim Bechesed Mechaye HaKol Berachamim Rabim Somech Noflim Verofeh Cholim Umatir Asurim Umekayem Emunato Lishene Afar Micha Mocha Baal Givurot Umido Melach Melech Mimid Umechaye Umatzmiach Yeshua V'ne'eman Atah Lachayot HaKol Baruch Atah Adonai Mechaye HaKol. 170. Atah Kadosh U'Shimcha Kadosh U'Kadoshim B'chol Yom Yahalelucha Selah Baruch Atah Adonai Ha'el HaKadosh. On the even-numbered pages for the Hebrew or the odd-numbered pages for meditations, we continue silently through 180 and 181. When you're finished with your silent prayer, please be seated. in the middle of page 180. May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable to you, Adonai, my rock and my redeemer. Yehiyu l'ratzon imrefi vehegyon libi lefanecha Adonai tzuri Adonai tzuri v'goali yehiyu l'ratzon imrefi v'hegyon libi lefanecha Adonai tzuri Adonai tzuri v'goali We turn our thoughts to those who are in need of healing, healing of body, healing of soul. As we do so, we turn in our Siddur to the middle of page 371. 371. As we ask God for healing for Yishav Zaza, Robert Oppenheim, Carrie Susser, Brian Zabel, Reuven ben Sipora, Moshe ben Avraham, Avraham ben Meir, Judy Bauman, Avram ben Udul, Evan Burnett, Ellen McIntosh, John Redmond Palmer, Molly Delaney, Beverly Bellin, William Redmond Palmer, Calvin Waxman, Susan Perry, Paltiela Bat Mordechai Vivasha, Amy Sutton, Jessica Lee Fletcher, Perry Bach, Gladys Korn, Shmuel ben Chaya Leba, Zisa Moglin. We also ask for healing for all those who suffer from the COVID-19 pandemic. For those who are with us virtually, if you have names you'd like to include for our Misha Berach healing blessings, you can either say them out loud where you are, or you can type them in the chat box on the platform that you're using. For those of us here, if you have names you'd like to add, we'll start on this side of the room if there are names for healing to add. Thank you.
Martin Weiss, Monroe Levine, Lisa Lee.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Any others on this side of the room? On this side of the room, names for healing.
Daniel Sifrin and Irene Sifrin.
Thank you. Any others on this side of the room? For all those we've named, for all those in need, we ask God to give each and every one of them refuah shlema min hashamayim, complete healing from the heavens. May it come as quickly as possible for each and every one. In the middle of 371. Mishe berach avoteinu mikor habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Mishe berach imotenu mikor habracha leavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen. This week in our Torah portion, we read from the book and the portion called Bamidbar. We are beginning to read from the book of the fourth book called Numbers in English, in Hebrew, Bamidbar. We finished off Leviticus last week. And at the beginning of this portion, we do some counting. Book's called Numbers in English. Makes sense, we do a little counting. We count the numbers of the people in the tribes. We count the number of Levites from the age of 1 month and older, the male Levites, age of 1 month and older, because the Talmud tells us that's the age of viability is 1 month. And so from that point on, we count all of the Levites. We count the tribes, we name the tribal leaders, we name the Levite leaders, we assign duties to everybody in the community, because everybody in the community has a job to do. If we are selfish and we only take care of ourselves, the community doesn't survive. And so each group within the community is given a task that they need to take care of. In the case of our Torah portion, it's about building and taking apart and packing up all of the pieces of the Mishkan, the tent of meeting in the desert. And it's important that we count each and every person, from our little itty-bittiest ones. Yes, Zev, I'm talking about you again. All the way to our oldest ones, some of whom are watching on that camera back over there. And it's always joyful to celebrate a very special simcha of naming a baby. And on the same day, remotely, I get to say this, that just a couple of days ago, we say Yom Huledet Sameach, happy birthday, to Stanley Sachs, father of Betty Ann Albert, who a couple of days ago turned 100 years old. So Stanley, since I know you're watching, and I know Betty Ann is watching with us and participating with us virtually, we'll a little thing for you. Yom Huledet Sameach, Yom Huledet Sameach, Yom Huledet Sameach, Yom Huledet Sameach. And so for your 100th birthday, we say, praised are you, Adonai, our God, who has given us life, sustained us, and brought us to this important day. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kiyamanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kiyamanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. Happy birthday, Stanley. It's amazing that we get to celebrate two ends of a century, right? Because after 100th birthday, now we give a name. Zeb, did he finish practicing? He's been practicing for days on all the Hebrew for this. And so Zeb, if you will come join me up on the bima over here, you can bring your parents if you want to. Totally up to you. You get to decide. You want to come? Come on up. On this day, come on over. Make sure Doggy's listening too, because he's got to be a part of this too, right? All right, excellent. On this day, usually Shabbat, we say it's double joy on Shabbat. You notice when we lit the candles, they said, the hadlik ner shel Shabbat. It means to light the candle one of Shabbat. How many candles did we light? We lit 2 because it's Shabbat and it's extra special and we get a little extra joy. The Hasidic teachings tell us that an extra soul is given to us. We have 2 souls on Shabbat. Did you know that? We each have an extra soul, all of us. Even Doggy over there gets a second soul, maybe. I don't know. I'll have to look that up in the Talmud and see. But 2 souls, 2 blessings. And on a regular Shabbat, we are doubly blessed. But on this Shabbat, because you decide to come hang out with us tonight, we are triply blessed. It's not just a double blessing on this Shabbat, but it's a triple blessing on this Shabbat that we get to give a name. What is a name? The Talmud actually discusses a lot about names. And it says we acquire certain names in our lives. We acquire the name that our parents give us. Zeb Dylan, right? We'll have a Hebrew name in a moment. We have the name that other people call us from our profession, maybe. Rabbi, doctor, your honor, senator. Any of those sound good to you yet? Mr. President. There we go. Madam President. Right?
Seems more likely.
That's more likely?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll work on it. Sometimes we acquire other names that people call us, like, I'm not going to say those. But hopefully we don't have those names. There's names that we get from other people because of things that we've done in our character of who we are. And that's the most important name that we get. And so while we're going to give Zeb his Hebrew name today, we hope that not only you, his parents, but grandparents and other family members and friends and community will help to bring him up in a way that he will attain as a name what we call the Keter Shem Tov, the crown of a good name. That not only is this a good Hebrew name that we're going to give him today, but he will gain a good name for himself in the things that he does in this world. This talit, these fringes on the end of the talit, represent the 613 commandments in the Torah. In various communities, we interpret them in different ways, but we know they're all there to be guidance for ourselves. And so, Zeb, you get an extra blanket for right now. We're going to wrap you. You want to help out here? We're going to wrap you a little bit in this talit that represents the blessings that we are about to give to you. And we say, yeah, go ahead and grab onto it. Absolutely. Yeah. He's grabbing on, going, yeah, I'm going to put my tallis on now. I'm not waiting for my bar mitzvah. Put my tallis on right this second. And we say, Baruch haba b'shem Adonai, we welcome you in the name of God, and we welcome you into the covenant of the Jewish people. We're going to have your parents hold this cup of wine. I know I'm making it hard on you, right? I'm putting you have the baby, a tallis, a cup. You can hold the cup of wine. Thank you. It'll work. As we say together, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Now, according to the Talmud, if I read this right, I think it's right here on this page. Talmud, Masechet Baba Ganoush. If you don't know what Baba Ganoush is, ask your neighbor later, you'll get. Masechet Baba Ganoush, give me a number more than 100. 100, page 109, A or B? A. Masechet Baba Ganoush, page 109A. When one does the blessing over the wine during a COVID pandemic and is wearing a mask on the beam at Temple Shalom in Colorado Springs, Colorado, one should slightly remove the mask for just a moment to take a sip of the wine and then place a drop of the wine on the baby's lips. It's in the Talmud. You have to do it. You're allowed to have a second drop, but not a third drop. Only a second drop. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechzinu liyom hazeh, who's brought us to this day. We say a blessing for you and for your parents, Zev, as we say these words: Mishaberach Avotenu, Avraham, Yitzchak, v'Yaakov, v'imotenu Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, v'Leah, hu yivarech et hayeled harach hazeh, v'yizku aviv v'imo l'gadlu l'chanko u'l'chachmo, v'yihiyu yadav libo le'el v'imo v'nomar amen. May God, who blessed our ancestors Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebekah, Rachel, and Leah, bless this child with life and health. May he be a joy to his parents. May he live to bring honor to the house of Israel, blessing to humanity, and glory to the name of God. And now, we're going to give you a name. We say, may it become a name of honor in the household of Israel. Bani matem la'Adonai Elohechem, a child is beauty unto God. And so we say for you here now, may your name be known in the house of Israel. Zev Dov ben Yisachachana, may you be known as Zev Dov, son of Jessica and of Zach. Given this name on the 5th day of Sivan, 5782. And the certificate that we give you here says these words. I talked a little bit about this before. That it says, Rabbi Shimon said, there are 3 crowns: the crown of Torah, the crown of priesthood, and the crown of royalty. The crown of Torah goes to those who are great scholars. The crown of priesthood goes to those who are the Kohanim and the leaders of the community. The crown of royalty goes to those who are born into the household, and perhaps in modern times those who acquire wealth. But the crown of a good name excels all of them. And so may this name for you be a very, very good name. Now, you may not know, we have an important thing about dropping stuff. You all think I'm joking, but I'm not. We actually have in the Jewish world, we have some ceremonies about dropping things. One of them is actually called chalitza. What is chalitza? It's actually part of a Jewish divorce proceeding that and it also happens after someone has died, that we're going to marry off the bride who doesn't have a child yet, and the other family members can back out of marrying her, and we say this chalitza blessing, and you have to actually drop not a car or a doggy, but your shoe. And so I think we're creating a brand new custom where when you get a name, we drop a dog and a turtle car. More important than any other car. A turtle car it's very important that it become a turtle car. We drop a dog in a turtle car to make it official. So I think you have made it official, that really gets to be his name. So that's pretty special. That's pretty amazing. Thank you for helping us out with that. And so we're going to give you a very special blessing as well, as we say, Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. May God bless you and keep you. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'yichunecha. May God's face shine upon you and be very good to you. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yisem lecha shalom. May God's face be lifted up toward you, and may you always be blessed with God's most important gift, the gift of shalom, the gift of peace and completeness in your life. And let us together say, Amen. And then if you'll join with me, you already sang these words, and so we'll sing them again. We praise you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who has given us life, sustained us, and brought us to this wonderful day. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechiyanu v'kiyamanu v'higiyanu lazman hazeh. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Shehechianu v'kiyimanu v'higianu lazban hazeh. Amen. And now, so that we know why Zev Dov is a good name, which one of you wants to take the microphone and give us the story of where these two names came from?
I guess I'll do it.
Wanna do it?
Well, so his English name is Zeb Dillon. We got married here in Colorado Springs in front of Pikes Peak, which you all know is named after Zebulon Pike. So that was part of the inspiration for Zeb. And we also liked that Zeb is a variation in Hebrew for Zev, which means wolf, which just sounds cool. And Dylan is an homage to Zach's late father, Dan Warren brought. And so we wanted to keep the D, and we're writers, so we like alliteration. So Zev Dov. Dov means bear, so it's wolf bear, which also seemed kind of poetic.
May you forever be known as Wolf Bear.
Good stage name, at least.
And so, if you will join me in honor of also, do you know what we call teddy bears in Hebrew? It's doobie.
Yeah.
It comes from dove, doobie. I know some of you who were born in the 60s think that word means something else, but doobie is brothers from San Francisco, but it's also doobie is what we call a teddy bear in Hebrew. So may Zev Dov play with his doobie and be blessed as a wolf bear. And if you'll all join with me, Simin Tovu, Mazel Tov, and Simin Tov, Mazel Tov, and Simin Tov, Mazel Tov, and Simin Tov. Yehelanu, Ulecho Yisrael. Yehelanu, Ulecho Yisrael. Simin Tovu, Mazel Tov, and Simin Tov, Mazel Tov, and Simin Tov, Mazel Tov, and Simin Tov. Yehelanu. And now for the best part of the service, Zev's going to give his speech.
I think the wine put him right to sleep.
He said, the wine knocked me out. Have a wonderful evening, everyone, and Shabbat Shalom. And Mazel Tov to you and to your whole entire family. We'll come to the concluding prayers of our service as we turn back in our Siddur to page 586 as we rise and find the words of Aleinu at the bottom of the page. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, latet gedula liotzer bereshit, shelo asanu kogoye ha'aratzot, velo samanu kimishbechot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkeinu kahem, v'gohor aleinu kechol hamonam, v'anachnu korim, u'mishlach lavim, u'modim, lifnei melech, malchei hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Shehu note shamayim ve'yoser haaretz, u'moshav yikaro b'shamayim ima'al, u'shchinatu zo, begovei meheromim, hu Eloheinu ein od, emet malkeinu efes ulato, ככתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום והשבות אל לבביך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל ועל הארץ מתחת אין עוד. The middle of 590. כי המלכות שלך יולמיה תמלוך בכבוד, ככתוב בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד, ושמו echad. We can be seated. In our yard sites this week, we recall the memories of Bertha Gold, David M. Superstein, Eugene Kellerman, Fanny Waxman, Henry Sugarman, Lauren Arnold, Nanny Post, Nathan Finkelstein, Marla Levin, Tilly Schulman, Bernard Manning, Howard Boggs, Phyllis Perlow, Robert Bright, Robert Mandelbaum, Sarah Stone, Victor Wertheimer, Bernardo Gordon, Isabel Manning, Miriam Kushner, Robert Feinberg, Sarah Superstein, Shirley Strait, Joseph Singer, Leonard Cotton, Mayor Levine, Morris Burland, Harold August, Teresa Snyder, and Tully Weiss. We also recall the memories of all those who have died during the COVID-19 pandemic. We also note that we, just a few days ago, finished the period of Shloshim for Marvin Strait, and we are in the period of Shloshim for Jack Dashosh and Howard Kirstel. Are there any other yard sites that anyone else is observing this week? Thank you. Any others? Yehu zichronam levracha. May their memories be an eternal blessing. We ask mourners to rise and those whose custom it is to stand with them. As we turn in our Siddur to page 598 for Kadisha Tom, the mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah be'alma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei b'chaye chon uvyome chon uvchaye dechol beit Yisrael ba'agala v'zman kari v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevorach le'olam le'amei almaya yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yithalal shemei dekudisha b'richu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata ta'amiran be'alma v'yimru amen. Yehei shalama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Osei shalom b'mromav huya asei shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. We can be seated. We'll invite Judy Oppenheim from our board of directors to share with us a few announcements for all of us to know of things upcoming as we make our way into the summer months.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you for joining us this Erev Shabbat for our service. If you are new or visiting Temple Shalom for the first time, Bruchim Habayim, be sure to introduce yourself to us and let us welcome you. Thank you to Rabbi Sherwood for leading us this morning. A special Todah Rabbah to everyone who helped with the service tonight. Mazel Tov to Zev and his family. Shavuot starts tomorrow on June 4th with a 7 p.m. Havdalah service and Shavuot study session, followed by ice cream and cheesecake. Then on June 5th at 9:30 a.m., join us for the Shavuot festival service in Yizkor. Join us Friday, June 10th for Shabbat in the park at Monument Valley Park, main pavilion. Bring a Shabbat picnic meal at 5:30 p.m. The service starts at 6:30 p.m. Parking is available at Glen and Mesa. You've gotten a postcard about it, and it has been in the weekly email and bulletins for a while. Sunday, July 12th from 10 to 11:30 a.m., join us for Talking About Death Won't Kill You. Join us in person or virtually when Jamie Sarchi, Director of Pre-Planning at Feldman Mortuary, clues us all in on some options you may not know about. The presentation is brought to you by our very own cemetery committee. You can sign up online at templeshalom.com. The Temple Shalom office and the 50th Anniversary Committee are updating our members directory. The online directory will be the source of all printed information for the 50th directory. To see what your information looks like, members can log in to templeshalom.com, select My Account, and then view My Directory or Member Directory and look up your entry. Make sure your information is correct because whatever's in the directory will go in the book. If you know of any temple members who are ill, hospitalized, or suffering from a loss, please contact the temple office so we can be sure to provide encouragement and support. The oneg is provided by Temple Shalom and Robin Gottlieb. If you'd like to sponsor an oneg for any reason, please don't hesitate to call Elena Rathman to arrange it. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. And we neglected in the office to type on there that our oneg in honor of Zev's naming is provided by the Sidman family, as are all the beautiful flowers and decorations and everything that are back there with all of the goodies. Renee, I can't promise that I didn't eat some of them this afternoon after you dropped them off early, but I might have left some for everybody else, but I don't know. We'll see. The other thing we want to remind all of you on next Friday night, as you heard from Judy, please don't come here for services. Judy already said it, but I'm going to say it again. Remember, next Friday night we begin our Shabbat in the Park program, the second Friday night of every month now through September. And we'll be announcing the parks month by month. Again, this one is Monument Valley Park in the main pavilion, so please join us there. Additionally, one other date for some people to put on their calendars, and registration will open right after Shavuot. Our official new conversion cohort is going to begin this summer. Tuesday night, June 12th is the first night. Registration will open as soon as Shavuot is over, which is Monday night. As soon as Shavuot is over, registration will open. So if you are one of those people, or if you know some of those people, June 12th, it's a Tuesday, 6 p.m. right here in the building. Registration opening Monday night after Shavuot is over. So that's the last thing you all need to know, other than please turn in your books to page 657. The bottom of the very, very bottom of the page, a modern Israeli melody from a band in Israel called Sheva. It was a big hit about 25 or so, maybe 20-ish years ago. Its words are both in Hebrew and Arabic, and in these very troubling times, it is a prayer for peace. Od yavo shalom aleinu, Od yavo shalom aleinu, Od yavo shalom aleinu, ve'al kulam. That's the first line. Try it with me. Od yavo shalom aleinu, Od yavo shalom aleinu, Od yavo shalom aleinu, ve'al kulam. It means that peace will still come to us and to everyone. And then for the second line of the song, there's only two lines. Salam, which is shalom in Arabic. Aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Salam, salam. Peace for us and for all the world. Salam aleinu ve'al kol